The night air carried a heavy silence, broken only by the soft hum of streetlights and the distant rumble of engines on the highway. The gas station at the edge of town was nearly deserted, a lonely beacon under the pale glow of flickering neon. A single mother named Emily Carter pulled into the station with her old sedan, exhaustion written across her face. She had worked a double shift, her hands aching, her eyes red from sleepless nights. In the back seat, her 7-year-old daughter Maddie was dozing, her head resting against the window, a stuffed bear clutched tightly in her arms. Emily's world revolved around this little girl, and though life had been unkind, she refused to give up. But that night, fate tested her in the cruelest way. Before we continue with Emily's story, if you're new here to Exposed Tales, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be shared, because they remind us that even in our darkest moments, light can still find us. Now, let's dive deeper into what happened that night. Emily stepped out of her car, her body tense, trying not to wake Maddie as she quietly closed the door. She inserted her card, waiting for the sluggish pump to click alive. That's when she heard it, the coarse laughter of men. 3 thugs, leaning against a battered pickup truck a few yards away, their eyes following her every move. Their faces were rough, marked with arrogance and cruel smirks. They were the type who enjoyed power not through strength of character, but through intimidation. "Hey, sweetheart," one of them called out, his voice loud and mocking, cutting through the silence. "Need some help pumping gas, or maybe company tonight?" Emily's stomach sank. She kept her eyes down, gripping the nozzle tighter. She had learned through too many bitter experiences that silence was sometimes the safest shield. But her heart raced. She wasn't alone. Her daughter was asleep in the back seat. Another man whistled. "Oh, don't be shy. We're just being friendly." "Right, boys." The others laughed, their voices dripping with menace. One of them began walking closer, his boots crunching on gravel. Emily's hands trembled as she tried to appear composed. She whispered under her breath, "Please, just let me be." But they had no intention of letting her go easily. The tallest thug circled closer, his eyes scanning the car where Maddie slept. He sneered. "Single mom, huh? Cute kid. Would be a shame if something happened." Emily's blood ran cold. Every instinct inside her screamed to protect her daughter. She stepped between the thug and the car, her voice breaking but firm. "Don't you dare come near her." Her courage only fueled their cruelty. The leader chuckled darkly, inching closer. "Oh, she's got some fire. I like that." His hand twitched as if he might grab her. Emily's pulse hammered in her throat. She wanted to scream, to run, to fight, but she was one woman, and they were 3. And then, like thunder rolling in from nowhere, came the sound that shifted everything. Engines. Deep, rumbling, powerful engines, growing louder by the second. From the far end of the road, the night lit up with the gleam of chrome and headlights. A convoy of motorcycles roared into the gas station, their tires grinding against gravel as they slowed to a halt. A dozen bikers, clad in leather, patches glinting in the light, helmets half raised to reveal stern, weathered faces. They didn't need to speak. Their presence alone carried the weight of authority. Emily froze, torn between fear and hope. She didn't know who these men were or what they wanted. But the thugs who had taunted her suddenly went quiet, their laughter dying on their lips. One biker, tall and broad-shouldered with a thick gray beard, killed his engine and swung off his Harley. His boots hit the ground with purpose, his eyes sharp as steel. The patch on his jacket read, "Iron Guardians." He walked closer, slow and steady, his gaze locked on the thugs. "Is there a problem here?" His voice was deep, calm, but carried the weight of an unspoken threat. The leader of the thugs tried to laugh it off, though his bravado cracked. "Nah, man. Just talking." The biker's eyes narrowed. "Funny. Didn't look like talking." Another biker, younger but equally fierce, stepped off his ride, pointing at Emily. "She looks scared to you." The thugs shifted uncomfortably. Their swagger faded as the circle of bikers tightened around them. Engines idled like growling beasts, the smell of gasoline and leather thick in the air. For the first time that night, Emily felt the balance of power shift. The gray, bearded biker turned his attention to her. "You all right, ma'am?" Emily swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "Mom, my daughter's in the car. They wouldn't leave us alone." The biker nodded once, his jaw tightening. He looked back at the thugs. "You heard her. Time to leave." "Now?" One of the thugs spat on the ground, trying to hold on to scraps of his pride. "You don't own this place." The biker stepped forward until their faces were inches apart. His voice dropped to a low growl. "You're right. But tonight I own you. Now get in your truck before you find out how far we're willing to go." The tension hung thick in the air. The thugs exchanged nervous glances. They wanted to fight, but they knew they were outmatched. Reluctantly, they backed away, climbing into their truck. Tires screeched as they sped off into the night, swallowed by the darkness they came from. Silence followed, broken only by the faint hum of the gas pump. Emily exhaled shakily, tears stinging her eyes. She had held herself together as long as she could, but the moment the danger passed, her body trembled with release. The gray, bearded biker removed his gloves, his expression softening. "They won't bother you again. You're safe now." Emily whispered, thank you so much." Her eyes flickered toward Maddie, still asleep in the back seat, unaware of the storm that had nearly broken her world. The bikers didn't just leave. They stayed until Emily finished pumping gas. Two of them standing watch near the edges of the lot, others keeping their bikes idling like guardians of the night. When she finally drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror. The Iron Guardians remained there, a wall of protection against a world that too often preyed on the vulnerable. But what stayed with her most wasn't just their strength. It was the quiet respect in their eyes, the way they didn't see her as weak or helpless, but as a mother who had stood her ground despite the odds. And that night, Emily learned something unforgettable. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms or capes. Sometimes, they ride Harley Davidsons and show up exactly when you need them most. Before we close this story, if you've been moved by what Emily went through, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Exposed Tales. Your engagement helps us bring more real, raw, and powerful stories like this to the world. Emily drove home that night with a new sense of hope. She still had struggles waiting for her. The bills, the long hours, the loneliness. But she also had a reminder that there are still people out there who stand for what's right, who will rise to defend those who can't fight alone. And maybe, just maybe, Maddie would grow up in a world where kindness wasn't rare but the rule. Because courage, compassion, and unity, those are the forces that change lives in ways no amount of darkness can erase. That's the cinematic version of the story for your channel.